Hi folks, Lou here, and I'm going to talk about the virtues of including limited versions of a game within the game to help learning. Now this used to be quite common, especially in war games, and perhaps it was seen much more in war games than in non-war games, and it would help the players a great deal. They could sort of work up to where they were going to play the full game. But nowadays we're at a stage where people only play games 1 to 3 times. They're playing to explore the game, not to master it. I think that's very common, especially in non-war games. And of course, there are so many games that it's quite easy to do. And if you don't have the games and don't want to spend the money, then somebody else will. You go to a game club somewhere and you get to play the game a few times until you feel you know it enough that you move on to something else. Now, in that environment, what would happen? The people would either not bother to play the intro game, or they would play the intro game 1 to 3 times and they'd be done. They might never play the full game. So as a designer, you can see why the designers who want people to experience the full fruits of their imagination don't want to include any kind of introductory game. They want the full game to be there, or at least the full game as they put it into the box. Keep in mind that many people more or less plan for expansions of a game when they put out a game. So what do you do? If your target audience is one that might play games more than 1 to 3 times frequently, and again, that might be war gamers, then you can still include an introductory game and think maybe that'll work. A not unique but unusual solution is something that was suggested to me originally by PSC Games when they wanted to reissue my game Britannia in 2020. That's when it was actually published. They wanted me to design a separate standalone 2-player game that would introduce people to many of the ideas and methods used in the full game, which is a 4 to 5 hour game for 4 players. And I did that. It's intended to be playable in 90 minutes. Some people take longer, some people take shorter. I think it was very successful. And then there were 2 games in the box instead of 1. The board had 2 sides. One was the main Britannia and the other was the dual Britannia, the 2-player version. But that's pretty unusual. To me, though, that might be a solution to this question of an introductory game. Have a separate game that is simpler and easier and yet introduces the other game, and maybe people would play both. Who knows? Thanks for listening.